Welcome to the YouTube channel Bookworm. Today, we will listen to a brief retelling of the following book, Important Years, Why You Shouldn't Postpone Your Life by Meg Jay. Life in real time. A purposeful person will not feel like a passenger in his own life. Actions create life in real time. The age from 20 to 30 is a time of uncertainty and years of wandering. For people in their 20s, a short-term job has taken the place of a long-term career. Young people over 20 in the 21st century are being tempted and even encouraged to turn a blind eye and hope for the best. People in their 20s and 30s believe that by avoiding making decisions in the moment, they are leaving opportunities open, but not making a choice is also a choice. Doing something later doesn't always mean doing it better. Modern young people begin to think about the future later than their parents did in their time. Identity capital. In young people between the ages of 20 and 30 years of self-digging often leads to the opposite results. What we do well enough or long enough for it to become part of us is our investment in ourselves. The more time it takes for us to establish a strong position in the professional field, the more likely we are to become different and traumatized. Weak ties. Weak ties are people we meet or keep in touch with but don't know well enough. Our friends may bring soup when we're sick, but it's the people we barely know who can quickly and radically change our lives for the better. Similarity breeds friendship. People most often build close relationships with those who are similar to themselves. Information and opportunities travel through weak ties much faster than through close friends, because people with weak ties have fewer common contacts. Weak ties are like a bridge with no end in sight, meaning no one knows where it might lead. Unconscious known. If you cannot distinguish one direction from another, you will not be able to make a choice. The unwillingness to make a choice is the hope that there is some way to live life without taking any responsibility. The unconscious known is what we know about ourselves, but somehow forgot. These are the dreams we have lost, or the truths we share but avoid openly supporting. We are experiencing how this unconscious known will affect us and our lives. The real uncertainty begins precisely at the moment of choice. The worst uncertainty is to strive for something without knowing how to achieve it. It is possible not to make a choice, but such an attitude will not protect against dangers. This will certainly entail certain consequences, but they will manifest themselves a little later, in 30 or 40 years. On Facebook, everything should look beautiful. For many, Facebook is not so much a tool for finding friends as the ability to track information about them. Facebook users, on average, spend more time browsing other users' pages than creating content on their own. Such amateurs of social investigation do not so much establish or maintain contact with friends as observe their lives. Facebook can turn our everyday life into the kind of wedding we've all heard about, where the bride chooses bridesmaids from among the most beautiful girls, not the most beautiful friends. Being on Facebook turns into a fight for popularity when the main thing is to get a like. Being the best is the only worthy option. The appearance of our partners is more important than their actions. There is a fierce rivalry between the participants of social networks. As a result, the social network becomes another place that creates the appearance of life. Facebook is not a way to communicate, but a chance to be on top, to keep up with others. Worst of all, we now have to conform not only to our close friends and neighbors, but to hundreds of other people whose artificial statuses constantly remind us of how wonderful life should be. One element of realizing our potential comes down to being aware of how our abilities and limitations fit into the world around us. In other words, we must be aware of our true potential. A person perceives goals as true dreams, and various shoulds are perceived as heavy obligations. Life is not about eating, praying, and loving, but about people, places, and specific events, who we relate to, where we live, and what we do to earn a living. Life on order. Originality is one of the factors that make us who we are. It fills our life with meaning. In many cases, the most important thing we know about who we are is who we are not. We refer to ourselves as not this or not this. A 39-year-old woman told the author, "At this point in my life, I plan to work, hire a nanny for the children, and not see them all day, so I need an interesting and well-paid job. But I can't find it. In my 20s, I didn't think about work at all. After 30, I had children. We need money, so I need a job. But you won't believe it. I just can't get it. I go to interviews, and there they look at me with bewilderment. What have you been doing all this time? I am very sorry that once in my life, there was no person who would explain to me that it was time for a long time. Think long and hard about your resume." Young people who don't start their careers in their 20s and 30s end up with blank resumes and break away from real life, all for the sake of finally settling on something, but much later. A good story is more important between the ages of 20 and 30 than at any other time in life. After graduating from college, the resume is just beginning to take shape, so talking about yourself is one of the few things a person can express themselves in. In your 20s, life is more of a potential than a fait accompli. A person who knows how to tell interestingly about himself and his plans is able to surpass someone who cannot do this. Life doesn't have to be linear, but it does need to make sense. There is only one way to live a happy life: to do what is not only interesting, but also meaningful. Talk about the main thing. The creation of a family is one of the most important events in our life, since a lot depends on it. Money, work, lifestyle, family, health, leisure, retirement, and even death all turn into a couple's race. Almost all the events of your life will be closely intertwined with the events of your partner's life. Even if the marriage turns out to be unsuccessful, it cannot simply be abandoned as a boring job. And after a divorce, spouses can forever remain financially and domestically connected to each other, as they pay for the child's education and meet every weekend in the driveway to the house to give or take the children. Remarriage is the triumph of hope over experience. Nowadays, half of the 20-30-year-olds have gone through a divorce, and everyone knows who has gone through it too. Those who had failed marriages believed that if they were happier after divorce, then their children would be happy too. However, as these children grew up, the unexpected legacy of divorce made itself felt. Many children of divorced parents say they didn't notice or pay attention to the fact that their parents were unhappy in their marriage. They knew only one thing: their lives fell apart when their parents separated, because after that they received too little of the blessings and attention of their parents. It is well established that marriage between young people under the age of 20 is the most unstable, but postponing marriage for later does not guarantee the strength of the union. Cohabitation effect. Men and women unanimously declare that their standards for partners are much lower than for spouses. Couples who live together before marriage, but after their engagement, and who have made public commitments, are no more likely to have a failed or dissolved marriage than couples who do not live together before marriage. Very often, young people in their 20s decide to live with their partners, believing that it is cheaper and does not carry any risk. However, after a few months or years, they realize that they cannot break this vicious circle. In behavioral economics, this phenomenon is referred to as consumer closure. A closure is a situation where choosing one option significantly reduces the likelihood of choosing another after an investment has already been made in something. Compatibility, similarity, and sympathy. By compatibility, the author understands the similarity in something important and real sympathy for another person, the way he is. The more two people have in common, the better they understand each other. People who have a lot in common react the same way to a rainy day, a new car, a long vacation, an anniversary, a Sunday morning, and a noisy party. The similarity between partners is the main element of their compatibility. Couples who are highly similar on criteria such as socioeconomic status, education, age, ethnicity, religion, attractiveness, attitudes, values, and intelligence level are more likely to be satisfied with their relationship and less likely to end it. Among the factors preventing the creation of a couple are your personal requirements for a relationship. The more common personal qualities partners have, the more likely they are to be satisfied with their relationship. Personal qualities are not what we have done, or even what we are, but how we interact with the world around us, and everything that we do depends on it. Personal qualities are that part of our I that we take with us everywhere. In most cases, people break up due to lack of change. Building a common vision and a common life is the task of young couples. Similar qualities are perceived as a reassuring factor confirming the correctness of the choice, and differences can seem threatening. However, after 40 years, when work, children, home, business, relatives, and community come to the fore, family life is less focused on relationships between spouses. When couples have to do more than just dine and spend the weekend together, a variety of skills and interests can come in handy. In this case, differences bring a fresh stream to life. To successfully cope with studies, you need to be able to solve problems that have the right answers and clear deadlines for solving. However, to be an adult capable of thinking ahead, it is necessary to be able to think and act even, and especially, in conditions of uncertainty. We become what we see, hear, and do every day. We cannot become what we do not see, hear, and do daily. In neuroscience, this phenomenon is known as survival of the most active. Confidence is gained with experience. Self-confidence is not an innate quality, but a quality acquired through experience. Whether it's about love or work, self-confidence only wins out over insecurity when it's backed by experience. There is no other way. Young people in their 20s who, due to low self-confidence, hide from life, doing work that does not correspond to their qualifications, act against their own interests. In order for professional activity to increase self-confidence, it must be difficult and interesting, and it is necessary to deal with it without resorting too often to someone else's help. In such work, everything cannot be done and always done flawlessly. By managing your emotions, you build self-confidence. Knowing what you want to do is not the same as knowing how to do it, and knowing how to do your job is not doing it well. Keep living and moving on. Life becomes easier between the ages of 20 and 30. We become emotionally more stable and do not endure the vicissitudes of fate so painfully. We are becoming more responsible and socially literate. We are more willing to accept life as it is and are willing to cooperate with other people. In general, we turn into people who are more satisfied with life and self-confident, and also experience less anxiety and anger. However, these changes do not happen to everyone. Trying to avoid adulthood will not make you feel better. It can only happen through investment in adulthood. 20+ years is a period when we move from school to work, from casual relationships to real relationships, from sleepovers on other people's sofas to our own apartment. Most of these changes require us to make adult commitments that fundamentally change both our position in society and who we really are. Investing in love and work starts the process of personality maturation. The status of an employee of a company or a successful partner contributes to its transformation, and permanent residence in one place helps to lead a more measured lifestyle. On the contrary, young men and women in their 20s who do not strive to live life to the fullest and move on experience feelings such as depression, anger, and alienation. Active goal setting in your 20s and 30s contributes to increased focus, skill, action, and well-being in your 30s and 40s. Our goals show who we are and who we want to become. They talk about how we organize our lives. The goals you set for yourself now determine who you will be in your 30s and 40s and beyond. Sustainable relationships reduce social anxiety and depression because they make us feel less alone and give us the opportunity to practice interpersonal skills. We learn to manage emotions and resolve conflicts. Relationships with lovers help us find new ways to prepare for life in the adult world. And on days when it becomes really hard for us to get through what is happening, they can be a source of reassurance and a safer refuge, something we can find with our parents. The constant absence of a couple can have a detrimental effect on the lives of men. Since those who lead a lonely lifestyle in their 20s, self-esteem drops significantly by the age of 30. A little about time. The age of 20 to 30 can turn into a timeless life. After we graduate, we leave behind the only life we've ever known. But now our life is revealed, and curricula disappear without a trace. There are days, weeks, months, and years, but there is no way to know when and why one or another event should be experienced. This can be misleading and turn life into a kind of existence in a cave. People of all ages and walks of life do not take the future seriously, preferring to be rewarded today rather than tomorrow. It's more important for us to have $100 now than $150 next month. We choose a chocolate brownie and a new thing now, and we decide to deal with the gym and a credit card later. This is not only characteristic of young people after 20. This is a universal human quality that underlies addictions, procrastination, health problems, and frivolous attitudes towards retirement savings. In many cases, it is difficult for us to think about what will happen in the indefinite future and give it any meaning. The age of 20 to 30 years is the period during which we begin to form a sense of time, and we make our own plans for our future life. Determining when to pursue a career and start a family is difficult enough. It is much easier not to think about anything and stay away from problems. However, young people in their 20s who live outside of time tend not to be happy. It's like living in a cave where we can't tell what time it is. We don't know what we should do or why, and sometimes it goes on until it's too late to change anything. Will all this help me? At the entrance to the Rocky Mountains National Park, there is a sign that reads, in large, bold letters, "The mountains are all equal." This sign warns park visitors to be properly equipped and prepared for hazards such as lightning and avalanches. The author was 28 years old when she first saw this inscription. It inspired fear, but the author immediately liked it. It meant a lot to her that the truth was written on this tablet. The inscription reminded her that, going to the reserve, she must know where she is going and be ready for anything. It's the same with adulthood. There are things that should be accepted as they are. The best thing to do is to learn as much as possible about them. Deep down, young people in their early 20s want to be reckoned with and taken seriously in their lives. They want to know that what they do matters, and it really does. There is no formula for a good life, just as there is no right or wrong life. But there is a choice and its consequences, so it would be useful for 20-year-old boys and girls to think about their future. This will make them feel better when that future arrives. If you pay enough attention to your life between the ages of 20 and 30, wonderful days await you. The future is not written in heaven. There are no guarantees, so take responsibility for your life. Set goals, find a job, create a family. Don't forget about time. Bring certainty into your life. Your fate should not depend on the fact that you did not know something or did not do something. You are now making a choice that will determine your entire life.